Hi, Dennis Weiss, Eagle Communication. We're at the Dickinson County Heritage Center with Michael Hook, and we're going to be doing this once a month until after the Chisholm Trail Festival is over, September, and then maybe another month or two, because such a lot of things to talk about.
Right.
Great opportunity for Abilene. How are you this morning, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful backdrop you have for us again today.
I appreciate that. It's the gift shop, which we've made a few changes in here, but you can really see the barn wood and the kind of cabin look to the backdrop here. So.
In fact, we've filmed here twice in the last 2 months, and every time I walk in, it looks different. So there are changes going on here, and if you haven't seen them, you should come take a look because they're really cool.
Yeah.
Love the display over Test Your Knowledge. Can you name each of the items? Dave will get a shot of it on his way out. But there's some cool stuff in there, Mr. Hook.
Well, we appreciate that, and it's always fun for the kids. Obviously, we're all kids compared to some of this stuff, so we have no idea what we would have used that stuff for. But just the rotary phones, it's just kind of fun to see kids trying to figure that thing out, and they're trying to push in the holes, and you're really getting experience, hands-on history here.
So just before the camera came on, I always do this. I go, so what do I call you today? And then at Dickinson County Heritage Center, so that name got in my head. And we had a quick conversation about way back when that name came about. It was a big change. And so let's break that down a little bit. Dickinson County, we know that's a geographic boundary of a governmental unit here in Kansas. The Heritage Center, that's a topic which we could run digital film on for the rest of our life because the heritage of Dickinson County is long and wide.
Yeah, and that was important for them to recognize. This isn't just as a historical museum, this is so much more than that. So we have so many stories to tell, so many different facets from the cow town to the agriculture to the major entrepreneurs that came here. So we are still trying to find our identity to this date, I think. It's, what are we? We've done so much.
I love you gave me a great segue. I think you said we're struggling to find our identity. I prefer to say it this way. We're struggling to see our identity.
Yeah.
Our identity is already fixed. We may just not exactly see it correctly or have it labeled adequately, but we are who we are.
Yeah.
Well, the beautiful thing is Abilene is so much. The Abilene-Dickinson County area is all of those things you mentioned, and including Eisenhower's, who sits right over here. We are all of those things. The identity's formed by who else is looking from the outside. So as we look at the festival poster behind us, I told you this earlier, Elizabeth and I drove to South Padre Island, Texas last week, had a fantastic vacation with our toes in the ocean, but we looked at Chisholm Trail all the way to the coast.
Yeah.
So Chisholm Trail is known up and down the I-35 corridor and 281. All of that country is full of conversations and advertising about the Chisholm Trail.
Yeah.
So how do we push Abilene up as the end of the Chisholm Trail and spread that economic benefit over this community? That's what you work on every day.
Yeah, it's all about education and starting with the kids to truly understand what the Chisholm Trail was. And it's true, once you get over the Kansas border, it's kind of forgotten. There's pockets out there, Caldwell, Wellington, you'll see these beautiful archways with some steel longhorn and things like that. When we get here, and I kind of blame the Second Empire, what they call the Leibolds and the Augustines and the Bone Breaks. These guys wanted to basically make Abilene the Chicago of the Plains. So what they're trying to do is get away from their cow town, trying to get away from everything that was wild and woolly. And we since have basically erased that moment out of history. So other than Dustin DeWeese and his shop, there's not too much representation that you see that says Chisholm Trail in the most important spot on the Chisholm Trail. So that education part of it goes not just for the kids, but the adults too. And so Memories of the Prairies, this event that we'll have, Trails, Rails, and Tales, symposium coming April 1st, these things are going to re-educate us and let us know how important we were to a very important trail.
I guess the message I'd like to convey to people on camera today, and I do this all the time when I talk to them, is we can be all of those things. We don't have to exclude any piece of that.
Yeah.
We are all of that. If this were Chicago, they would be going, holy mackerel. what a blessing to have all of those things.
Yeah.
Any other community in the United States would like to have all of that branding opportunity. You don't have to exclude things from your brand if your brand encompasses all the things. So you're about making sure that we include the heritage of Dickinson County includes all the things that were here, including the Cowtown.
Yeah. And we would not be here, and it's a bold statement, I understand that, but I really believe that before Joseph McCoy showed up, it was 12 log cabins. So we weren't cosmopolitan by any means. Junction, Salina, those guys were pretty well already established at that point, and that's why they said no, they didn't want any part of this Cowtown, because they knew what came with it. It was rotten characters, red light districts, saloons. There was everything you didn't want in your town, whereas we had just, farmers, basically, guys that just really didn't have a big concern about what was going to become of the land. And I always appreciated that, because Joseph McCoy, we weren't his first choice, we weren't his second or his third, but finally, when the train basically took him back, he realized this is probably okay to go for. So
I think if you look through, from an economic standpoint, you look at the history of any place, you see tipping points where decisions were made and actions were taken that then spilled onto the future of things. And I would agree with you. It's a bold statement, but I think it's a bold statement that's well defended. If that had not happened, what would have caused Abilene to be a thriving community? That question's never been answered.
So watch the chain of events too. This is kind of fun for us to see what brought businesses here. So Bell Springs Creamery is a great example. So they were in Bell Springs, they were doing fine, but they bought 2 properties here in town. One was where McCoy's Drover's Cottage was, the 5-star palace for the Cowboys, and 2 was the Alamo Saloon, which was the most famous saloon in the Midwest. And so they knew how important these cowboy stuff was. Bell Springs, obviously a very important part of our community, but that's what brought Eisenhower back to town. So we may not have that beautiful facility over there had it not been for the Cowboys.
I'm glad you said that, because I almost said it myself, but I'm glad, I'd rather you said it. But if you go down the progression of thought, that tipping point becomes the catalyst for everything after. And in Abilene, Kansas, there's a lot after the Cowtown. We do have the Bell Springs Creamery. We do have the United Telephone Company. We have all of those things, and we have Dwight David Eisenhower growing up here as a boy to become a 5-star general and president of the United States. All of those things were built on the foundation of the economic community of Abilene, which started as a cowtown.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's what I've been fighting since I got here. So there's just so much that we have to give. There's such a great story that would have been circa 1867 to 1871. It's a small window.
My duck is quacking in my pocket. I was very certain I had turned that off, Dave, but ducks are part of the flora and fauna of the world here. I wore my boots and jeans today. 2 reasons. One, my back's hurting and my boots are about the only thing I could get on, but I always try to do that when I come here. It's a statement, I guess, for me that says I'm comfortable as cowboy, and I'm comfortable as an economic thought of Cowtown. If we drove through a lot of cow country, and on Elizabeth and I, when we went to the ocean, but went by Will Rogers Coliseum in Oklahoma City. And I said to my wife, I said, one of my favorite places, I said, all the big horse shows used to be at that facility. And she's, conversation, she says, well, why do you think that is? And I said, it's easy. I said, first of all, it's kind of in the middle of horse country and the country itself. But I said, the fact of the matter is there was some group of people in Oklahoma City who said, we're going to make this an important part of our economic viability. And they went after the marketplace. And they had a wonderful facility. They had a wonderful team to host people. They had all of the tie-ins to the business community. They had the buy-in from the hotels. So that, they turned that into a billions of dollars worth of business into the Oklahoma City community, bringing all the major stock type shows, national and world championships to Oklahoma City for 30 years.
And that's all it is the community getting after something. And I think that's, I took a lot of pride when I went to Colorado Springs because the Cowboy Rodeo Hall of Fame is there. And they actually have a nice video where they say the origin of the rodeo basically started in Abilene because these cowboys, these drovers, needed something to do for entertainment, so they would entertain their friends. So really some of the first rodeos ever existed right here on these grounds, and that's kind of neat to see.
The Reynolds family, still a strong business family and farming family here in town. Dan Reynolds told me the story of his father and grandfather. One of their early economic activities was to bring horses off the plains, wild horses off the plains, and train them to sell as both riding horses and working horses. And their corral was over on Texas Street, over First Street, the old First Street over there, about where all of the little farm implements set there now.
Yeah.
And that was what they did, and that family and that business is still occurring today.
Yeah.
And they don't break too many horses and sell them, but they still grow cattle and they still grow crops and they sell real estate, and that's Abilene, Kansas.
Yeah. And when you walk on Texas Street, when you walk on First Street, you're walking in the footsteps of the legends. I mean, it doesn't look like much now, but there was a time where Hollywood may have glorified it a little bit. You got to consider that there's horses, there's stray dogs, there's pigs, so it's not the most pleasant for odor, but it was basically these saloons that were thrown up, and there were about 60 different buildings that were along that street, and this is where the party was at. You figure you're 100 days on the trail, you're basically not interacting other than the guys that are with you. And so when you get to Abilene and you have money in your pocket, you let out your steam, basically. So
the visual picture of that is recreated all over the United States in different ways still today.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at the edge of spring break. Okay, spring break for kids is to leave college and go someplace and have fun and let off steam, or however way you want to call that. What do you think spring break is for the communities to which they travel?
Yeah.
It's Black Friday. It's when their businesses go black for the year instead of from the red, from not making money to making money. All communities all up and down the Gulf Coast wait for spring break to bring enough revenue in to make their year work.
Yeah, and essentially this Labor Day weekend is Abilene spring break. This is our opportunity to really make something big out of this thing. And it's pockets, and you'll see that there are certain areas in this country that are incredibly excited about it. There are people that are beyond this country that are incredibly excited about it. And so what we want to do is provide an opportunity for every time I go to Oklahoma City and I say I'm from Abilene, Kansas, their eyes light up and they say, that's a great town, that's a great cow town.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do, is be able to show that off and get people really excited. We didn't realize this, but there was a very accomplished painter that during our event, he basically took what he had remembered, his moments, and he painted that on the canvas. And it's just, that's his experiences. He put it in his craft and his medium. He put that into the art form, just basically his experience from last year. And that's what we want to provide for everybody that comes this year, is lifelong memories.
I want to go down a hard path. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You're a great guy. You're a hard worker. You accomplish a lot of things. Here's the hard part. There is no way you can do this by yourself. Can't be done. Not even generate all the good ideas. And Michael Hook's an idea generator. You can't even generate all the ideas. Well, I tried when I walked in this morning to generate an idea. So that my ask to the people on the camera and to the people they talk to on the streets, this economic growth, viability from a single event that we've talking about the last 5 minutes, that's dependent on you. That's dependent on your idea for your business to come here and say, Michael Hook, I saw this on Channel 2. I've got the great idea how I can work with you for this event to help grow Abilene. Please come to see Michael Hook and say, I've got an idea on how to do something. You can't chase everybody down, but they can come here.
And that's how it all starts, is that we'll have just some amazing people that will call us or show up and say, I've got this, and yeah, I'll sign you up. The craziest phone call I got within the last week was a gentleman wanting to know when the anniversary was of the Chisholm Trail, what do we recognize? And then we started getting into the details. Well, they left in 100 days before that, so you can't exactly recognize September 5th for everybody. Right. Yeah. But the guy I was talking to was Michael Martin Murphy, and he basically said, what are you doing and what do you need me to do? And so now we're kind of in a little bidding war right now, but we're going to do everything we can to get him to be, in addition with Red Steagle and in addition with the Sons of the Pioneers, we could essentially have the 3 biggest names in Western music here in one festival celebrating this great moment.
That'd be terrific. The only thing that would be better than that is if our local community, each of us put together an effort that makes that just balance on the scales. Yeah. It's so important for Abilene to push itself forward. There's only so much anybody from the outside can ever do for us. Yeah. It's us to push ourselves forward. But we certainly have a great footprint to do this on, don't we? Yeah. We certainly have a great theme to follow. And I can't think of a business in town that couldn't come up with a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, just like Christmas time when we all get after our windows and decorate them up, I think everything downtown could have a Chisholm Trail theme. Sidewalk events, whatever your business is, whether it's a restaurant, antique store, downtown is where the epicenter can essentially be, especially with that parade going through at 10 in the morning and you have thousands of people wanting to see the Longhorn. There's an opportunity right there to really focus on your business. I'm signed up for several newsletters from national speakers and consultants, sort of a thing, and one of the guys I really appreciate, he is often on the edge of why people do what they do. Okay, he explains things. Well, one of his latest newsletter was really about how you tap into how people are, and he talked about just the power of doing something for people before you try to sell them something. Simple as that. So I look at, okay, we've got cows coming through downtown Abilene. Focus is on the cows. Focus is on the parade. Your shop's right here. What can you do for somebody? You can give them a taste of who you are, what you are on your sidewalk in front. You can give them a free something. You can give them a demonstration. You can give them some of your wares, or if you can't change a tire for them at M&M Tire, you can certainly have the grandkids give them free lemonade, which those grandkids down there have a sharp little business going in this summer. Yeah. So, but you can do something to make that customer feel like you would want to do business there. Absolutely. And it's so important that we do that. Yeah, and when you go back to my archives, you're going to see these amazing pictures of things, of businesses that are still there today. But there were things happening. The sidewalks, the streets, they were completely full. There's a medicinal show. He was just selling medicine, but there's probably 500 people standing around him to see what this show was in the middle of town. Duckwall would bring Santa Claus every year, and the street was just full of people. You couldn't even get through it. And that's essentially the energy and the vibe that we want to bring again. Somehow, some way, whether it's a Moonlight Madness, whether it's something to get downtown district open with a lot of people in foot traffic. That's always the fun thing. You know, we've been trying for a number of years. There's been a number of things downtown, and people can look at those and go, well, that didn't work, that didn't work. I don't know. Yeah. It's additive. It's additive. It grows. It grows. It grows. Yeah. If you never start, you cannot possibly finish. So we're in the middle of this, trying to figure out what will connect downtown to the temporary visitors that events and things like the Eisenhower Presidential Library bring in. We're in the middle of that process. We've got to keep pushing that forward. Well, this is a new thing. This is back to our earliest history, a great festival, very successful last year. A lot of people here, a lot of fun, a little windy. If you could turn the wind down this year, that'd be all right. Yeah. But still, it was a great amount of opportunity to have fun and to connect to new people. Yeah. I know there were hundreds of people that left here saying, Abilene, Kansas, pretty cool place. Yeah. Yeah, and the word of mouth is a win for all of us, I think. When we went to the state fair the week afterwards, people said, I called my grandma, I called everybody I could. We're all coming back next Labor Day. So that's terrific. Well, as we finish off here, Michael, we're going to do this once a month until we can come back and say what a success that the Chisholm Trail Festival was this year in 2017. And so people can be regularly hearing from you and seeing your face on Eagle Local 2. And when you see that face in the street at West Country Mart or any of the places that you see Michael Hook, bring your idea to help this festival grow. We could prosper greatly by doing so, don't you think?
That's fantastic.
All right, thanks for hosting us again today.
I appreciate it.
We look forward to doing it again next month. I work for Eagle Communications. My name is Dennis Weiss. This is Michael Hook. He works for all of us. You have a great day.